Hello and welcome to Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa on a Tuesday. My name is Mikhail Tinubu, and you might still be dizzy from last night, but I do hope that you can get over it for this most interesting of Tuesday's sports news. Now, I have with me Victor Godfrey on the line today. Victor? Well, while we
Sorry, can
wait,
you hear me?
Victor?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
I know you're particularly excited to talk about our first story today, so I'll get right to it. Nigeria recorded their biggest victory in an international match on Monday, June 13th, defeating Sao Tome and Principe 10-0 in an Africa Cup of Nations qualification match. Napoli striker Victor Osimhen, who Arsenal is interested in this transfer window, scored 4 goals, 3 of which came after half-time. Terem Murphy, who plays for Lorient in France, scored twice, while Moses Simon, Ogenekaro Etebo, Ademola Lookman, and Emmanuel Dennis each scored once. Nigeria's previous record victory was 10-1 victory over Benin Republic, then known as Dahomey, on November 28, 1959 in Lagos. Nigeria now leads their African Cup of Nations qualification Group A after winning their first 2 games. Now, Victor, we have to go all the way back to 1959 to remember a time that Nigeria scored that many goals in a game. And on top of it, in this match, they actually happened to manage to keep a clean sheet. I know so many people must have been really excited watching those many goals go in. What did you think of the match overall, the goal aside?
Well, what was very impressive with the national team yesterday was the fact that even though we had like a 4 or 5 nil lead, which in the past will be enough when you just switch off, the players were still very hungry. They still wanted to get more goals, if not for poor finishing and some, I would say, spectacular saves by the goalkeeper of South Sudan, Principe. Um, you argue that we should have had about 14 goals or 15 goals yesterday. So that's the attitude I love. The fact that we score more, like 3 or 4 goals and keep pushing for more. That's been our biggest issues in the past when we have scored maybe 3 or 4 goals and then we just switch off. We saw that against Sierra Leone during the World Cup qualifiers, the first phase of it here in Lagos. We were leading by 4 goals to nil at halftime, and that game ended 4-4 at full time. So I was impressed with the hunger, desire. I mean, because Sime had a 10 out of 10 performance, 4 goals and I think 3 or 2 assists. That was just incredible. He was hungry for more goals. And quite frankly, I feel he is the future of Nigerian football. If he just break that record held by Rashidi Yekini, I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited. I love the fact that they were just going for more goals, even though we had like, a 4 or 5 goal lead.
Well, last time we spoke, you talked about the fact that in the last match, you couldn't yet see any sort of tactical identity for the team. Given, even though that this is Sao Tome, the team isn't as, shall we say, on the same level in terms of star power as the Nigerian team. Did you see anything that changed your mind from the last match regarding tactical identity?
Well, it is pretty obvious that the coach, Marcelo, likes to have just 2 men in midfield. We saw in the last game, we saw Joe Aribo and Alex Iwobi. That's against Sierra Leone here in Abuja. And obviously we're exposed in the first few minutes when we considered the goal very early. But now he had Etebo and Alex Iwobi. So he likes to have that 2 man midfield and of course having like the shadow striker coming deep, like we saw with the young man when this number 14, I forgot his name, that scored I think 2 goals as well in that game, based by FC Lorient. So that's its identity for what I've noticed in the last 2 games. I see he puts Bassi in centre back, which I think is better for Nigeria rather than playing the left back position because he has been exposed so many times. We still have areas with our right back, with the right side of our defense, still very, very porous and leaky, in my opinion. But that's the way he plays. He wants to play that traditional 4-4-2 formation. I don't know how that will hold up against a very good team like the Algerians or Egyptians, Cameroonians, Senegalese, etc. But so far so good against Sao Tome and Principe. It was quite good. We won 10-0. It's what you expect from the national team. Quite frankly, we should be beating this Minos, like they call them, quite easily without any stress. So based on the results from yesterday, the tactics worked well. But against Sierra Leone, I wasn't too sure. And it will be very, very interesting seeing the two games we have in Conakry for when we play them. And of course, it's Freetown will play Sierra Leone also in the return leg of fixtures.
10 goals may look good on paper. It looks good wherever you put it. But is it going to give a lot of Nigerian fans, is it going to give a lot of people an inclination that this coach knows what he's doing now that a 10-goal match has occurred under his watch?
Well, the truth of the matter is, when we spoke off the camera when we said that. I mean, we had this before at the Nations Cup just in January. We won all our games. We were very impressive in the group stage of the Nations Cup, and we were all excited. Everybody thought we were doing the competition, or at least the final or semi-final, something like that. So yeah, and you mentioned something. Do not get carried away. It's just South American principle. As a matter of fact, to make it more, I'm not trying to say the effort wasn't good or the result wasn't impressive, but we don't beat the fourth worst team in Africa. Like ranked just 4 places above the worst team in Africa. That's where South American people are ranked. So their national champions are not even in the Camp Champions League. That's how bad it is for them. They don't even have a half, let's say, verified or approved stadium to host their home games. That's where they play in Morocco. So yes, it's impressive to beat a team like Sao Tome and Principe. For the casual fan, you are blown away with that scoreline, like 10-0. What was going on? I'd love to see that game. But I think the true test is still yet to come, in my opinion. I still feel they still have to test out his tactics against hungry teams that are also equally as good as Nigeria, great players, and also have the same level of tactical awareness. The good thing that was impressive for me was that we were able to break down a team with a very defensive low block. That's the first time in a long time that Nigeria didn't do that. Usually we wait to catch teams on counter attack. But this is the first time we actually broke teams down and actually starting deep. But then again, the quality of opposition is not what I'm about. As the 110-0 is just standard. I don't feel I'm not excited. I'm just like, okay, this is expected. Let's continue this level, and then improve and hopefully win the Nations Cup come next year.
All right. Now, let's move on to the World Cup qualifiers as Australia's dancing substitute goalkeeper Andrew Redmayne saved the last penalty to clinch a place at this year's World Cup in Qatar as they edged Peru 5-4 in a shootout following a 0-0 draw after extra time in an intercontinental playoff on Monday, June 13th. Redmayne had been brought on 3 minutes from the end of the game for the shootout and became an instant hero with his antics as he danced across the goal line before diving to the right to stop a kick from Alex Valera and hand Australia deserved victory at the Ahmad bin Ali Stadium. Australia had missed their first penalty, but converted the next 5 to silence thousands of Peru supporters who travelled for the game and provided noisy support, but saw their team conjure up a few opportunities. Workmen-like Australia dominated the early exchanges, with winger Martin Boyle twice cutting through the Peruvian defence to provide teasing crosses. The second half followed a similar pattern to the first, with limited efforts on goal until the 80th minute, when Australia suddenly had 3 good opportunities to win the match. The single game playoff between the 5th place finishers in Asian and South American qualifying determined the 31st place at this year's World Cup, placing Australia in Group D with holders France, Denmark and Tunisia. I think you can hear from his constant blocked throat that he had a lot of screaming to do during the match. After all, it ended 0-0. However, the group they've ended up in, going up against Denmark, France and Tunisia, won't be quite so easy for them, Victor.
Well, yes. For our friends down under, like they say, it's it's very consistent with their qualification to the World Cup. Something that we should celebrate here in Nigeria. I can assure you, I wanted to lose my voice as well, but that's not going to happen. I watched the penalty shootout actually. I saw the highlights of the match, and it was quite impressive. It reminds me of the Liverpool goalkeepers of the past, Robela and Jerzy Dudek, each for the Champions League final, one in Rome in 1980, the other in 2005 in Istanbul, and they did the whole wobbly leg and dancing to put the striker off. So big ups to Australia for qualifying, Socceroos as we call them, football being the third biggest sport in Australia, behind rugby and of course cricket. But the good thing, like you mentioned, is the group stage for them is it's a daunting task. I think their best chance will most likely be against Tunisia. I mean, you have the likes of Denmark and France, those are two top European teams, and forget the current form of France. Come the World Cup, I can assure you, open up the heat and style. So Australia may just have only the benefit of just being part of the numbers at the World Cup. I'm not trying to downplay their chances, but I'm just being honest. I don't think they're going to qualify for that group. They're just punching that.
All right, let's move on to a legend who is leaving his home, the home he is known for the last 15 years. A tearful Marcelo has said goodbye to Real Madrid after 15 years at the club. The Brazilian fullback who joined Los Blancos as an 18-year-old departs after winning a 5th Champions League title as team captain. In a prepared speech, he thanked all his former managers, teammates and staff, but reserved a special thank you to former Madrid captain Raul, who he described as a role model during his early years in Spain. The Brazilian made 545 appearances for Real Madrid in all competitions, scoring 38 goals and assisting 103 since joining in 2007, and leaves as the most decorated Galactico in Real's 120-year history, winning 25 trophies during his time at the club. Marcelo said that he is still undecided about his future, but dismissed retiring or going back to his native Brazil, hinting that he wants to keep playing in Europe and at a club that will play in next season's Champions League. Gracias, Marcelo. What is it about wingbacks and fullbacks, Brazilian-born wingbacks and fullbacks? They just seem to have an affinity for gaining trophies. Quickly, Victor, I want you to comment on all of the achievements that Marcelo has achieved at Real Madrid. Dani Alves left and came back. He's another Brazilian fullback with plenty of experience and plenty of trophies to boot. And many have said in the past there's been an argument. Marcelo, Carlos, Roberto Carlos. We both got the opportunity to watch more like the tail end of his career. Marcelo was the closest thing to being his successor. Did he achieve that?
Yeah, I think he achieved that and also surpassed it. But let me bust your bubble, Kai. Marcelo and Taiwo are supposed to be the same generation. Just putting that out there. But let's go back to reality. Now, Marcelo was supposed to be the long-term replacement for Roberto Carlos, and quite frankly, they hit the jackpot with a young Brazilian fullback. And he has done so well. You can argue that perhaps Carlos has a World Cup to his name, 2 World Cup final appearances, and of course, only the second one in 2002. But Marcelo, in terms when it comes to club level, has surpassed even the great Roberto Carlos. Yes, he may not have the popularity in terms of his shot power or free kicks, but Marcelo was a very, very skillful, reliable fullback that helped Madrid win those Champions League trophies that he did. Even most recently, even though he didn't play too much this current season, but he was part of the team. So I'll give credit to Marcelo being at the club like Real Madrid for so long and being consistent. When you have many managers come and go, different eras, you have to give him credit for his ability. So well done to Marcelo, and thankfully he's the player that was from that era that will still continue on like that.
Well said, well said. Well done to Marcelo. Gave us many great moments of European football. Thank you, Victor, for joining me today. Always a pleasure.
Always Bye. It's always a pleasure.
Have a wonderful day. And to everyone at home or at work, wherever it is, your opportunity to catch us on Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. As I always say, want to thank you for joining us, choosing this as your destination for all of your sports news. Remember, it takes a legion to bring all of this to you, so I'm especially thankful to everyone in my transmission, my cameraman, everyone who works on the production staff. Thank you to everyone. Life is never boring with some sports. Have a wonderful day.